lighthouse, shining in the darkness.
So everyone, I'm with my friend John Morr, and John Morr just got done painting 2 of the doors at our new center at 2021 Hobson Road. And I wanted to interview him and ask him a few questions. So number one is why volunteer? Why volunteer your time? You're retired?
I'm retired, yes.
But why,
Yep.
why spend your time working as a volunteer?
Okay. Well, number one, I have time,
Okay.
so that's good. And just thinking, all of us God's given all of us talents and skills. And while my skill may not be to be the executive director of the Lighthouse, I can use my other skills to support you as executive director of the Lighthouse. And so that I think that has value, frees you up to do the things that you feel are important while you're using your skills.
Sure.
And then I can be using my skills to help support you.
So I think one of your skills is gathering people to help. So just recently this spring, you built us a pavilion out at our house, our McCormick Street house, which the guys love. It's a beautiful addition to what we do.
Great.
Now we did trim and paint, and you're always gathering people to help, and I think that's a good thing. So I guess then the next question is, why the Lighthouse?
Okay.
Why volunteer here?
Okay. Well, I've personally seen the effects that addictions can have on families. And not only on the person with the addiction, but also how that person's addiction has affected their families, the pain that they feel, the suffering, the challenges they face in dealing with that person's addiction. So, having seen various people and families impacted by addictions, I just feel that the Lighthouse is important, and to help with those addictions. Plus, I feel strongly without Christ, they can't will themselves out of those addictions. I think there are some people that do recover, let's say maybe naturally, without Christ's intervention. But I think that, I don't know what the statistics are, but I think it's much more likely that if they allow Christ to change their life, that in the long term there will be fewer relapses and more recoveries.
I read a statistic this week that that 74% of rehab programs have some sort of a faith component, and I think that says a lot to what Christ can do for our lives. So
absolutely.
I've got some notes here, and I got to refer to them because I don't remember what we talked about.
Right.
What would you say to others who would want to volunteer with the Lighthouse? How would you encourage them to get involved?
Okay, one of the things I like about volunteering is that I get to interact with other people, and I get to meet other people I don't necessarily know. Although I have a number of friends that I call. Sometimes I wonder why they answer the phone, because I usually have an idea or some way to involve them in a project. But thankfully, I have great friends who are willing to do that, to volunteer and to commit. But when I think about it, it's like there's a couple things that happen out of that. I've developed friendships by associating with other people and doing these projects. I have fellowship with them, which is cool. And frankly, even out of that sometimes grows discipleship, I think. And so we're able to build each other up, encourage each other. And I thought about 1 Thessalonians 5:11, which talks about encouraging each other, building each other up. And it's a great way to do that.
So I remember when you were building the pavilion, some of our residents kind of hung around. They really enjoyed just the fellowship that was there with sober people. And I think that's an important part of people volunteering, is just to impact other people's lives. Whether or not you have a master's degree in counseling or not, you can be involved. You can show someone how to cut wood and measure things, and I think those are important talents as well.
Yes, and it's always a joy to me to make some kind of connection with those people that are struggling, and not that I have a big impact on their lives, but I think about a project I did for the McGuires, Jonathan and Sarah McGuire. I don't know, 4 or 5 years ago. And Jonathan told me one day, he's like, you know what? He's like, you you don't maybe not realize how you impacted our son by him seeing men working together
Yeah.
to accomplish a project, doing it for free, volunteering their time. He's like, that made such an impact on my son. And so, you know, by doing things at the Lighthouse, hopefully we have the same kind of impact on the men that you're serving.
Sure. So if you don't know John and Sarah McGuire, they run a program called Hope Anew. It is a program for families who are struggling with a child who has some sort of a disability.
Yes.
It's a great ministry that we support. That is kind of lined up with our vision as well. So
Absolutely. Yes.
So this isn't just a one-time thing. You kind of have a history of volunteering. You're a Gideon.
Yes.
You've made trips to Chicago and New York and all of these places. Now that the world's in turmoil, maybe focusing more local and more on Fort Wayne. And,
Yes. Yeah.
So for me, it's an encouragement to see someone who's, I think to quote John Piper, not retiring in Florida collecting seashells and wasting their life,
Yes.
but
Yeah.
who's active, probably even more active now that you're retired, in volunteering and reaching people for the gospel. And that to me is inspiring, and I hope it's inspiring to the community.
Great. Yeah.
So
Thank you
anything
for that.
else you want to say while we're here?
No, well, there is. I'd just like to encourage people to support the ministry. I've been very impressed by Brandon, seen some of the various aspects of the ministry, met some of the men that the ministry is serving, and I just think it is a great ministry, and it's desperately, desperately needed.
Perfect.
Yeah. Thank
Well,
you for what you do.
No problem. Thank you for your time, and we appreciate your service here. And if you'd like to volunteer with the Lighthouse, you can visit us on our website at www.biblicalliferecoverycenter.com or call us at 260-255-6413. Thank you, John.
Thank you, brother. Yep.
Before us, you're the bride.